Minutes there taking questions from reporters, recusing himself from any decision having to do with the investigation into possible contacts between the Trump campaign and Russians known to U.S. intelligence. He described his meeting on Capitol Hill with the Russian ambassador, Kislyak, saying that they talked about terrorism. They talked about how he had gone to Russia with a church group, and apparently the ambassador is not a believer. They talked about Ukraine, and the Attorney General described the conversation as a little bit of a testy conversation, but he does not recall any specific political discussion. Let me bring in Pamela Brown. And Pamela, when it came to accusations that he had been misleading in his answers to Senator Al Franken of Minnesota during the Judiciary Committee hearing on his confirmation, he said that he thought Franken was asking about a story pertaining to continuing communications between Trump advisors during the campaign and Russians, and he did not think that his meetings with the Russian ambassador were pertinent to that, and he's going to amend that in writing to the Judiciary Committee.
Right, and as we know, there was a follow-up questionnaire from Senator Leahy, and he continued to say he had no contact with Russians. Now, he said today that he was looking at it in the context of the story that you broke during that time, during his hearing, that President Trump had been briefed about this dossier with some allegations involving, Trump surrogates and the Russians, and he said in that context, he was sort of taken aback by the news that was just being given to him by Senator Franken, and that he didn't, in his mind, think that his meetings with the ambassador, with Kislyak, had anything to do with this news story. And even in his follow-up questionnaire, according to what he said during this press conference, he was still thinking of it in that other framework, not his meetings with Kislyak. Now, it's still a little unclear if in that moment he recalled those meetings, because you'll remember last night the Department of Justice initially said that he didn't remember the meetings, and then through time he's had some more clarity, clearly was able to talk about the fact they talked about terrorism and other issues. But it's worth pointing out that he is, of course, Russia's ambassador to the U.S., but also he's considered, in the view of the FBI and intelligence agencies, to be a top spy for Russia. He's someone to be considered someone who will go back to Russia and share intelligence, what he collects in the United States. And so this isn't just some, ambassador. This is someone that the U.S. views as a spy, which could be argued a lot of diplomats are, but I think there's that other element there. And it also stuck out to me that he said this decision to recuse himself came from his involvement just with the campaign. It had nothing, he basically said, because he's involved with the campaign, he thinks it's appropriate to recuse himself from any investigations involving the campaign, and he didn't say that these conversations with the Russia's ambassador had anything to do with it. I found that interesting.
Joining me now for more on this is Senator Chris Coons. He's a Democrat from Delaware, member of the Judiciary Committee and also the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, first, what's your reaction to the press conference from Attorney General Sessions and his decision to recuse himself?
Well, Jake, the most important issue here for us to continue to be focused on is to have a thorough, credible, bipartisan investigation into Russia.